All right, y'all, these videos have been a couple minutes longer each than I had anticipated or wanted, but you've made it to the sixth group of Kreuzberg. You made it to the sixth customer group, which is the party animals. So bear with me as we go through them. They are explosive. What I love about Seize the Bean, which some people interpret when they play it as being chaos or randomness, is that a lot is happening in general. Meaning that there are all these cards out here, and you might be going after a certain type like hipsters, and they just might never appear. And you might say, "Oh, how do you play this game? How do you plan?" But the trick is not worrying too much about any one plan, and instead being able to pivot based on your reading of the city. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all this is because when you play your first game, that's extremely hard to do because you're just trying to learn all the mechanics and you're trying to learn the depth of the game. But what's interesting is that a lot of people in their first game stumble into a couple of different strategies. And one we most often see is the party animal cyclist strategy. And I'll explain what I mean. Let's look at this bartender to understand how they work. So just like the musicians and just like the cyclists, they only want one snack. So they always want a donut. Now, obviously, they're different because the cyclists want a croissant and the musicians want a pie, but they want the donut. So they're a sugar group. And so that means at first you would think, oh, they're a support group, but they're actually not exactly because they take over, as you can imagine thematically they would. And then this one right here, this bartender wants a soy milk to give a good review, but actually they don't always want that. Sometimes, as you can see with this super, the side order is going to be 2 strong coffees to give 2 good reviews. So their side orders are a little bit more chaotic than most groups. And that's what I was saying earlier, is that some groups like the tourists are very streamlined because they're hard to serve, whereas the party animals aren't that hard to serve. So we decided to more randomize their side orders. So you can't always predict as you add more to your deck exactly what you're going to need. Now, onto their ability. This is called a walk-in. This has been the hardest of all the iconography to get to be visually accurate because everybody always thinks that this is somebody walking out of a shop. So that's probably one of the icons that we're going to have to leave as it is, and you're just going to have to learn it. We haven't come up with a better solution to that. But what a walk-in does is it says you can choose any customer. It's not like a word of mouth. It doesn't have to match anything. Just any customer you want. It's like the bartender calls somebody up on the phone, and then you have to take them and you have to add them to the end of your line. And because this ability activates when you serve this card, most likely, how else would it activate? That means you're also going to have to probably serve this card that you took this round. So if you haven't already noticed, what can happen is you serve this bartender. So let's say we serve them with a serve token, and let's pretend that this other party animal, actually called a party animal, wasn't in our line. And let's presume that we took this cocktail connoisseur. Then let's presume that we serve them. By the way, we would fill this gap. Oh, wow. So we'd serve them, and now we're going to walk in these Berghain regulars. That's a super. So we fill this gap. Oh, man, another one. We serve them. Now we have to take 2 cards. So first I would take the furries. Then I'd fill the gap. Oh, wow. Now I take another one, and, we'll fill the gap. Okay, party animal stopped. Go on, serve the furries. Maybe this time I'll take a musician. Draw another one, and then you keep going. So they can really explode your deck. Now, the interesting thing, though, is imagine if I had taken, before I took these other ones, imagine if I had taken a cyclist. What would happen is if I was running out of resources because I was serving so many cards, is I could activate the cyclist, trigger one of my upgrades. There would probably be upgrades here. So let's pretend that this one was here, and it gave me a scoop, or pretend that this one was here, and it gave me a sugar. And then I could use it to help me continue serving my line. So the cyclist party animal combination is really powerful and can just explode somebody's line. After the first 3 or 4 rounds, they can really just go off the deep end, and that's really neat. So those are the party animals. And as I typically like to do to end this, I'll show you a couple of their cards. So we have some black lights here, and some thematic party favorite flyers. Excuse me for misspeaking there. And then these are both very silly. I do not advocate the use of any special substances, but obviously we do have an Irish coffee and some special donuts. So anyways, all in good fun. I hope you enjoyed seeing those first 6 customer groups. Let's jump into the next district in the next video, and also let's jump into further customer groups. All right, y'all. Still Crumb for Collie Beast, and I am out.